Former guest girl, actress, Marilyn Monroe lookalike, and reality TV star Anna Nicole Smith was a tabloid sensation in the early 90s and early 2000s. Her voluptuous curves and appetite for the limelight, fame, and everything that went with it was insatiable.
This was a woman who wanted more. She was addicted to more.
There's no way she could look like that in Texas and not find a wealthy billionaire.
But when she overdosed on prescription drugs at the age of 39, she left behind a legacy that incited battles within battles, and the world became addicted to the drama.
The Anna Nicole Smith case is the granddaddy of all estate cases.
These people had so much money. If they didn't die, they'd probably still be litigating today.
The fame, the fortune, the legacy of Anna Nicole Smith. Anna Nicole Smith is as famous for her unusual lifestyle and legal battles as she is for her curves and her charisma. Although many dismiss her as a vapid, spotlight-hungry drug addict, the sexy pinup is also loved for her sweetness and down-home Texan simplicity. As she follows in the footsteps of her idol Marilyn Monroe, it is two wealthy men who help accelerate Anna Nicole's career. One by marrying her and providing the lavish lifestyle she craves, and the other by putting her on the front cover of Playboy, giving her the fame she desires. But when Anna Nicole dies in 2007, only months after having her second child, it's not clear who gets her estate, or even if there is an estate. Mystery, intrigue, and millions of dollars are part of Anna Nicole's legacy. This is the story of all that she left behind. Anna Nicole Smith is born Vicki Lynn Hogan in Houston, Texas in 1967. Her mother, Virgie, is just 16 years old and married. But when Vicki is just a baby, her father rapes her mother's 10-year-old sister, Kay. Virgie kicks him out, and he is jailed for the rape. Virgie remarries numerous times and works as a deputy with the Harris County Sheriff. She also undermines Vicki's self-esteem, telling her that she is garbage and will never amount to anything. Vicki hates her mother and can't wait to get away.
She was set up through a life of trauma to become an addict, absolutely. And one of the ways that people are set up for addiction is through trauma. The single parent, the lack of money, poverty will do that. You know, the feeling that I have to escape. Athletes, entertainers, lots of people have that story where they think, I have to get out of here. What can I do to get out of here?
As soon as she can, Vicki moves to the nearby town of Mejia to live with her Aunt Kay, then drops out of high school a year later and starts working at a fried chicken shack. Vicki falls in love with the cook, Billy Wayne Smith, and marries him when she is just 17. A year later, their son Daniel is born, but their marriage turns sour. When Daniel is a year old, Vicki takes her son back to Houston.
She worked at a Walmart, worked as a waitress at Red Lobster. I don't know if she was successful in those endeavors, but it didn't take long for her to get a wild hair up her butt and start stripping down in Texas. She took on a new persona. Vicki Lynn Hogan became Miss Vicki, a dancer on the afternoon shift at a strip club called Rick's.
Vicki develops a taste for partying, and in 1989 has her first run-in with the law when she's arrested for drunk driving. She eventually pleads guilty to one charge and is put on 2 years probation. Vicki is relatively flat-chested and believes she is unpopular in high school as a result. She starts saving up her dancing tips to pay for breast implants.
I think that Anna Nicole's obsession with her breasts makes sense. They were the money makers. That's what got her the gigs stripping and modeling, and ultimately her elderly billionaire. And also, look, the love of surgery. Addicts love surgery. They love dental work. They love any justification for medication.
Soon she starts working at another club, Gigi's, where she develops her trademark baby voice modeled on Marilyn Monroe's.
She's 5'11", big boned, and she's working the pole on the afternoon shift at Rick's, the least desirable shift in any strip club. This turned out to be a blessing in disguise because one of the favored patrons at that club was a billionaire.
Howard J. Marshall is a wheelchair-bound oil tycoon in his late 80s who visits the club nearly every afternoon. Vicky becomes his favorite dancer, and she also becomes fond of him. He showers her with lavish gifts, envelopes full of cash, cars, and even a 15-acre ranch. Vicky enjoys the gifts and the lifestyle they afford, but repeatedly turns down Marshall's marriage proposals. Vicky's idol is Marilyn Monroe, and her ambition is to model and be an actress like Marilyn.
If Anna Nicole Smith had any talent at all, it was her own ambition. She had her mark. She had the billionaire. But she also knew she could increase her profits on the stage as a stripper by enlarging her breasts. And she did so in a big way. She went from a 36A to a 39 double D, which is unheard of. In fact, women that actually are born with that kind of endowment, they go for breast reductions. Not Anna Nicole Smith. She just thought bigger is better. And it's like people that get tattoos, they get addicted to it. This was a woman who wanted more. She was addicted to more. In 1992, on a whim, a fortuitous whim, if you will, she answered an ad for scouts, photography scouts for Playboy magazine. They took one look at her, passed it up the chain to Hugh Hefner. He took a look at her, and she was a classic beauty in his eyes.
Hugh Hefner chooses her for the March '92 cover, and by May makes her a centerfold.
Anna Nicole Smith gets $500 for the cover of Playboy. That catapults her into centerfold, where she's paid $20,000, which would be the equivalent of a little over $30,000 in today's dollars, which would be also the equivalent of what she would probably earn as a waitress or a topless dancer.
She took the fame that she had achieved from appearing in Playboy to actually landing huge modeling contacts. Marciano, the guy who ran Guess Jeans, spotted her. He loved her figure, and he was right, and he went on to use her in a phenomenal ad campaign.
Vicky is rebranded as Anna Nicole Smith, and the 155-pound 38 Double D Smith replaces ultra-slim supermodels Claudia Schiffer and Eva Herzegovina in the Guess ad campaigns. The Guess campaign was a 3-year multi-million-dollar contract. Anna Nicole's star is on the rise. She picks up other modeling work, including a racy campaign for the Swedish clothing company H&M.
H&M, they hired her and gave her a very rich contract to appear in their lingerie. And the irony of that was they had to actually pull her contract because drivers in Norway and other Nordic countries would see her on the side of buildings and they would go skidding off the road. They were so bowled over by this beauty.
In 1993, Playboy makes her Playmate of the Year.
There is no higher or loftier goal for anyone that wants to undress for the camera. So she became an icon, and Hugh Hefner, to his credit, saw that.
As a Playmate of the Year, she gets paid $100,000, and she gets a Jaguar. And it's here that we start to see the cracks underneath the surface. Wealth amplifies whatever's underneath. If there's strong character, that can result in philanthropy. If there's a weak character or instability or insecurity, it can result in addictions. In her case, the addiction was to luxury and to shopping.
Along with $100,000 from Playboy and gifts from Howard J. Marshall, Anna Nicole earns $22 million in her first year of modeling. The Marilyn Monroe lookalikes days as a topless dancer are over, but her desire for more and more is starting to get the best of her.
She absolutely had addictive behaviors that manifested themselves in multiple ways, not only with actual intoxication, but with the reports of her shopping, the reports of her stripping, the reports of the men. I mean, everything. She seemed to have an endless black hole of need to fill.
So like any addiction, hers starts to spiral out of control. It's reported that she actually went in and spent almost $1.5 million in one jewelry store, followed by $500,000 in another department store. And so we see the signs of addiction growing and growing and growing.
Now, shoe shopping wouldn't kill her, but, drugs and alcohol certainly would.
Back in Texas, her 89-year-old suitor, oil magnate J. Howard Marshall, continues to woo her with increasingly extravagant gifts, including a Mercedes-Benz, an apartment in New York, and a home in L.A. He even rents Marilyn Monroe's house for her. In 1994, Anna Nicole hires a talent agent, and she makes her film debut in The Hudsucker Proxy, followed by a role in Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult. Her career is on the upswing, and her desire for fame and fortune is being fulfilled. But is Anna Nicole Smith fulfilled?
Whereas any normal person would be grateful for the multi-million-dollar contracts she was getting for modeling and the like, what happened with her is what happens to most drug addicts is she started destroying everything worthwhile in life.
Anna Nicole Smith is becoming a multimillionaire, but her addiction to pills, booze, and just more of everything is having an impact. In February of '94, Anna Nicole spends a wild night drinking and pill popping. She falls unconscious and is rushed to an LA emergency room. It's rumored she even loses some modeling contracts. And only months later, Anna Nicole's fortune takes a hit. Maria Antonia Serrato, the nanny she hired to look after her son, sues her for $2 million, charging sexual assault and sexual harassment.
In a bizarre turn and what would indicate the beginning of a downward slope, Anna Nicole Smith is sued by her housekeeper for odd charges around sex slave, et cetera, et cetera.
Although Anna Nicole has admitted to being bisexual in the past, she denies the charges. But she also doesn't provide the court with requested documents and is ordered to pay Serrato $850,000.
She became the butt of jokes on every talk show. She was run through the ringer in the tabloids, which isn't a bad thing if you're trying to expand your brand in that direction. But at the end of it all, she saw that her life was falling apart, and finally she got J. Howard Marshall to propose to her, and she accepted.
Anna Nicole accepts Marshall's marriage proposal and a 22-carat diamond ring. Anna Nicole and J. Howard Marshall tie the knot at Houston's White Dove Wedding Chapel. Howard is 89, and Anna Nicole is 26. After the ceremony, Anna Nicole leaves for Greece without her husband. The press labels her the ultimate gold digger.
I might have married him for $500 million. I mean, you know, he was on his last legs. I don't really see how you can demonize her for doing that. I think it's like winning the lottery.
He was treating her well. He was giving her about $30,000 a month allowance. He was buying her jewelry, cars, all kinds of creature comforts.
She never lives with her new husband, and they are reportedly never intimate.
The fact was, he's 89 years old, she's in her 20s, and you know what? He's got a hot mama on the hook, and why not? Really what it was he represented the father that she never had. She called him Pawpaw, for God's sakes. But more than that, this wedding represented a huge potential revenue stream for her. The trick was, she had to get in and get her hands on his billions without a prenuptial agreement. This was very important to her.
And understandably, Marshall's 55-year-old son, Pierce, isn't exactly welcoming his new stepmom with open arms.
After Anna Nicole Smith and J. Howard Marshall get married, Pierce Marshall is furious with this. I mean, this is a big threat to him inheriting this Texas oil fortune. Pierce Marshall was really worried that Anna Nicole Smith was trying to have a baby with J. Howard Marshall. That would have undermined the inheritance completely, because then the baby would have had inheritance rights and Anna Nicole Smith would have been controlling that through the baby. So he does anything and everything he can to put a stop to it.
Even one of J. Howard Marshall's lawyers proposes ways to protect the family money. But Anna Nicole files an injunction accusing Pierce of meddling in her affairs.
One would think that with a $1 billion estate, you would absolutely get a prenup before you marry a 26-year-old stripper.
It really would have protected everybody, but you can only imagine the conversations that were going on in the bedroom and how Anna Nicole Smith probably wanted nothing to do with the word prenup at the time.
It's suspected that she uses her monthly allowance to get a nose job and even bigger breast implants. One of the implants ruptures, leaking saline and requiring an emergency operation. Over her lifetime, she will have multiple surgeries on her breasts, requiring numerous prescriptions for painkillers.
Addiction is a very tricky piece of business. We often describe it as 4 garbage cans and 3 lids. So in other words, okay, I have my food problem contained and my cocaine problem, but look at me, I bought 14 pairs of shoes in one day. We hear that a lot with people who come into treatment. I can drink, it's the heroin that's my problem. Really? Is that right? Okay. And so what I think her issue was, I mean, there was a myriad of them, obviously, but yes, her addictive behaviors were certainly an issue, and I think that she would try to fill that hole with virtually anything that she could get her hands on.
Painkillers aren't her only addiction. She's also getting addicted to litigation.
Apparently, while on a photo shoot dressed in a provocative manner, cowboy boots, short skirt, and a hat, she was off camera and relaxed and involved in her own activities, I guess eating something. New York magazine took that and broadcast it to the world over at a tagline or a headline that said "White Trash Nation." She sued. Did she have a right to sue? I think she did. This is the equivalent, roughly, of putting a camera in the restroom, and so I think she had a right to bring that claim. It's not as outrageous as bringing a camera into the restroom, but it probably had some economic value.
Despite her ample income, Anna Nicole loves to spend it quickly, although her taxes and a gas bill for $265 go unpaid. But Anna Nicole's sugar daddy falls ill. He's hospitalized. And on August 4th, 1995, just 14 months after they marry, J. Howard Marshall dies of pneumonia at 93.
Anna Nicole Smith and Pierce Marshall fought like cats and dogs. After J. Howard Marshall passed away, they even fought over his ashes. They couldn't agree to have one funeral, so they had to have two separate funerals because they couldn't see eye to eye on anything. And that was really a precursor of what was to come over this enormous battle for the money.
Anna Nicole is devastated and shocked to learn her husband had no less than 6 wills, and none of them name her. What's more, the houses he bought for her were in his name. Marshall's entire estate is in a trust fund for Pierce.
Pierce Marshall, he convinces his father to make his trust irrevocable, meaning he can't change it, which guarantees that Pierce, and not Anna Nicole Smith, is going to inherit the money.
And Anna Nicole Smith was making allegations that when Pierce did this, J. Marshall couldn't even read, he couldn't even write legibly. So there's a lot of questions about whether or not he was actually competent and knew what he was signing when Pierce took him to that attorney's office.
Anna Nicole takes the Marshall family to court, insisting that her husband promised her half of his estate and intended to set up a trust for her.
Anna Nicole Smith was married to her husband for 14 months, and during that time, he gave her about $1.6 million in jewelry. He gave her homes, he gave her a ranch, and he gave her lots of cash to go shopping and spend.
So it's not like she should have been destitute when he passed away. In total, she received about $6 million at least.
But when you're used to spending $30,000 on one gown, you know, that's a pretty big lifestyle to maintain, so $500 million would definitely help out.
Anna Nicole accuses Pierce Marshall of keeping her from her rightful share. He sues her lawyers for libel, and the battles begin, eventually going all the way to the Supreme Court.
Lawyers, when we talk candidly and no one's looking, talk about the hog rule. That is, people who just can't get their nose out of the trowel and try to overreach and grab more than they have coming to them. Anna had means of her own. She was worth tens of millions of dollars, and she falls in love with a guy old enough to be her grandfather. He dies 14 months later, I doubt from stress, but who knows. And now she wants a half of a $1.6 billion. Then you've got the guy who's thinking, this gold-digging floozy's not entitled to 1 red cent. So he's pushing back. Realistically, he should have given her something, and she should have taken something. This case should not have gone all the way to the United States Supreme Court.
As Anna Nicole waits for her day in court, her life spirals out of control. She is now spending most of her time in California. Rumors abound, including that she shows up to a television interview wearing only a bra and underwear. Her weight climbs to 224 pounds. Anna Nicole finally checks into the Betty Ford Clinic to kick her addictions. Her monthly allowance is cut off, but her lavish spending continues until she is broke. In 1996, she files for bankruptcy.
In the late 90s, her career started going downhill, and her personal life and her addiction started to surface, and her life sort of spun out of control. Somewhere in there, she had that moment of clarity. Her ambition, her desire to expand the Anna Nicole brand came roaring back. She lost a whole bunch of weight, and next thing you know, she's actually getting cast in movies.
Anna Nicole also invests in a professional relationship with a man who will get her career back on track.
Howard K. Stern. Yeah, he was a lawyer. You know what Shakespeare said, kill all the lawyers. He gave up lawyering and made Anna Nicole his full-time job and his alleged girlfriend. and he started mapping out the rest of her career.
Stern lands Anna Nicole a role in Sin City Spectacular in 1998, as well as minor roles in a few television shows.
He was kind of a reprehensible human being, if you ask me. I mean, this is a guy, who should have been looking out for her better interests, but in the end, it looked like he was just looking out for himself.
Anna Nicole's weight rises again, but her fluctuating figure leads to an unexpected opportunity. Lane Bryant, a plus-size clothing line, hires her to be its spokesmodel. For a single fashion show and a photo shoot, Anna Nicole is paid a 6-digit sum. The campaign makes millions for the clothing chain. And in September of 2000, a California judge awards her $450 million from her husband's estate.
Pierce Marshall made a huge tactical error here. He opened the door to the lawsuit in California. If he just would have left things alone in Texas, he would have won, and this case would have been over years and years ago. He screwed up by suing in California.
He did, and Anna Nicole Smith benefited from it. She received a verdict of $450 million in the California court, and on top of that, she got $25 million in punitive damages as well to punish Pierce for his behavior.
But Pierce Marshall appeals in Texas. Anna is brutally cross-examined, and the trial drags on for 5.5 months. In the end, the jury in the Texas probate court rejects the California ruling, awarding Anna absolutely nothing.
There are ping pong matches in the United States with fewer movements of the ball than this case had between jurisdictions. It started in Texas, it goes to the bankruptcy judge in Los Angeles, it goes back to Texas, it goes to the Court of Appeals. It's thrown back to Texas, and then what's worse, none of these judges can agree. From a lawyerly perspective, this case was a perfect example of federalism and what I'll call the pathologies of federalism. The probate court in Texas made a decision that Ms. Smith was entitled to nothing. She filed bankruptcy in Los Angeles. The bankruptcy court, which is a federal court, not a state court, it took the probate matter, the estate matter under its jurisdiction and said to Anna, here, you can have half. That should have sent shockwaves through every state court in the system. Since when do federal courts pick up probate responsibility? It's like a federal judge doing a divorce. It just doesn't happen. So the case was taken to the United States Supreme Court, which declared that the bankruptcy judge in Los Angeles lacked jurisdiction or the power to decide this action. And frankly, it was the right result.
Broken, exhausted, Anna withdraws with Daniel to a quiet location in life, taking the time to finally draw up a will of her own. The legal wrangling has hurt Anna Nicole's image. She needs to get her career back on track to generate an income. Howard comes up with a plan.
He pitched the Anna Nicole Smith show.
The show premieres in 2002 and draws 4 million households, the highest ratings for the network's reality series. And it replenishes Anna Nicole's bank account to the tune of approximately $1 million. Her roller coaster ride of fortune seems to be on the climb yet again. In 2002 and 2003, Anna Nicole Smith is rebuilding both her fame and fortune. She has her own reality TV show, and it, at first, seems to be doing well in the ratings.
The Anna Nicole Smith show, in a nutshell, was the precursor to Honey Boo Boo. It was dumbed down entertainment, but it worked for a while.
Viewership declines after the first season, and the show is canceled after season 2. Anna Nicole diets again and loses 70 pounds. She claims to have used the dietary supplement TrimSpa. TrimSpa hires her as a celebrity spokesperson, and she's earning a monthly salary in the thousands. She's still spending a lot of money on clothes, drugs, and her ever-expanding entourage. She now has a physician and a psychiatrist on call due to chronic pain from the breast implants, as well as anxiety, insomnia, and seizures. And her behavior becomes increasingly unstable. Some say she's becoming a one-woman train wreck who will do anything for attention.
She absolutely displayed borderline tendencies. There are huge connections between borderline personality disorder and addiction. Very few borderlines do not have issues with chemicals. One of the ways that they try to make that better is by drinking or using drugs, or in her case, anything at all.
Her income seems to be at risk yet again when a class action lawsuit is launched against TrimSpa. No one else is getting the same results as Anna Nicole, and she is implicated for misrepresenting the supplement's effects.
If you open any newspaper, turn on the television, you won't go far before you hear or see an advertisement for some weight reduction program. So here is Anna Nicole Smith, a woman who is beautiful by many people's accounts, who plumps up in the middle of a crisis, and she drops 70 pounds quickly. Query, how can I do that? Now, that is marketing gold for somebody who's got the right product. And apparently a producer of a product said, Anna Nicole Smith took our miracle pill, you can do this too. Well, guess what? Plenty of other people took the pills and kept eating the cheeseburgers and the 70 pounds stayed on them. So I think there are problems for Anna Nicole Smith. Did she lie to them and say, okay, I took the pill, it worked a miracle? Did the company know or have reasons to know that she should have lied, in which case they should have been more careful with what they told consumers? There may be legs on a class action suit. I wish somewhere in the United States, though, there was a judge with enough gumption, underneath his robe to say, people, look, you're chasing a dream. Live a disciplined lifestyle and you won't blimp up. So, will there be litigation? Sure. Should there be? Probably not.
Trimspa later pays $1.5 million to settle the allegations, and they keep Anna Nicole on as spokesperson. Although she still has an income, she claims she's struggling financially.
In 2005, she's earning around $270,000, which to most people would be a sizable amount. Instead of downsizing her life and selling her mansion in Beverly Hills, she continues to occupy it, which consumes almost more than half of her annual income. That's a huge mistake and not very wise financially.
In 2005, with Howard K. Stern's help, Anna Nicole again goes after Marshall's estate. She petitions the U.S. Supreme Court. To everyone's surprise, the justices agree to hear her case. In May 2006, the U.S. Supreme Court rules that she has a right to pursue a share of her deceased husband's estate in federal court. The legal battle is sent back to a lower court. Her stepson, Pierce Marshall, who has been opposing her claim from the outset, dies a month later at age 67 of an infection. But Pierce's wife continues the fight, determined to keep Anna Nicole from getting any of J. Howard Marshall's money.
Every litigation has a settlement value. It costs a lot of money to lawyer up. It costs a lot of money to litigate in a probate court. It costs a lot of money to litigate in the bankruptcy court, to take appeals to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, to go to the United States Supreme Court. These people spent millions upon millions of dollars on the legal services industry. And for that, I suppose I should say thank you, although not one dime found its way to me. But this was unnecessary. It was a brief marriage. Everybody had enough money to live well. They almost should have been assessed court costs for clogging the courts with this tawdry drama.
That same year, Anna Nicole announces she's pregnant. She's coy about who the father is.
Shocker, all of a sudden, Anna Nicole Smith turns up pregnant. Okay, who's the daddy? It's like a game show. Who be the daddy here? And you know what? She didn't even know. It was speculated that it might have been J. Howard Marshall, as unlikely as that sounds. Howard K. Stern, was certainly ready to jump on that train and claim to be the baby daddy. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes this entertainment photographer who Anna Nicole had met in Kentucky, who claimed he was the father, and everybody's fighting over this unborn child.
Not long afterwards, Anna and Howard moved to the Bahamas. The girl who has always sought attention is now claiming she wants some privacy.
Anna Nicole finds herself pregnant. Maybe she knows who the father is, maybe she doesn't. Odds are she's got a pretty good list of suspects. I understand 5 men come up and say, I'm daddy, but she has a position in the world she wants to defend. And maybe she doesn't want the actual father to become known. If she were to remain in the United States, the question of paternity could become an issue, and any of the 5 men who claim that they were the father could bring an action in a probate court and compel testing and submit to DNA testing to show that they were or were not the father. At that point, going outside the jurisdiction of the United States deprived those men of the ability to compel a test.
On September 2006, Anna Nicole gives birth in the Bahamas to the daughter she had always wanted. She names her Hannah Rose. As soon as the news is out, Larry Burkhead, the entertainment photographer who claims he had a relationship with her, publicly states the child is his. 3 days after she gives birth, Anna Nicole's 20-year-old son Daniel flies to the Bahamas to see them. But a few hours later, Anna's joy turns to heartbreak when Daniel collapses in front of her. Doctors try to revive him without success. Although Daniel wasn't a habitual drug user, an autopsy reveals he died of an accidental overdose. Terrified of flying, Daniel had taken tranquilizers and then methadone. All the drugs were at therapeutic doses, but the combination was lethal.
In a sign of absolute desperation, we see Anna Nicole Smith resorting to try to monetize whatever she has left, which she does with her son's funeral in exchange for $400,000 for the pictures and videos.
At the funeral, Anna Nicole is so distraught she tries to climb into the coffin. Devastated, she changes her daughter's name to Danny Lynn in her son's memory. With Daniel gone, Danny Lynn becomes the sole heir to Anna Nicole's potential fortune. 2 weeks later, Howard Stern marries Anna Nicole Smith in a commitment ceremony in the Bahamas and puts his name down as the father on Danny Lynn's birth certificate.
Commitment ceremony. Not a marriage, but, getting close. It's sort of like saying I do with two fingers crossed. But it was good enough for those purposes. But what was really going on there? I think it was estate planning, frankly. Her son had died, and he was the only person who had a right to be a beneficiary of her estate in the event of her death. You get the impression that Mr. Stern knew how to take care of Mr. Stern. He was an executor of her estate in the end, represented her, was apparently close enough to make a commitment to her of some sort. Sort of screams conflict of interest all over it. Lawyers are supposed to be independent of their clients and to have interest discernible from them. If a person comes to you in crisis, they want to know what their options are. They don't want to know what your options are.
The stress of Daniel's death takes a toll on Anna Nicole's health. She battles depression and pneumonia for months. 5 months after Daniel's death, Howard tries to lift Anna's spirits with a short holiday. They head to Florida to buy a yacht that they'll sail back to the Bahamas. As always, they check into the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel, which is famous for its celebrity clientele. Her entourage includes her friend and psychiatrist, Dr. Christine Erosovich, her bodyguard, Big Mo, and his wife, Tasma Brightop, who is a trained nurse. Anna stays in her room, complaining of flu-like symptoms. She spikes a fever of 105, and Christine and Mo put her into an ice bath. But she refuses to go to the hospital, fearing publicity. While she sleeps, her friends watch television in her room, but on the third day, they can't rouse her.
If you can please respond to the Hard Rock, it's going to be reference to a white female who is, what is she not responsive? Not responsive and not breathing. She's not breathing and she's not responsive. She's actually Anna Nicole Smith.
Anna Nicole is rushed to the hospital and pronounced dead on arrival. She is 39 years old. What does she leave behind? All we know for sure are unsettled legal battles and a 5-month-old baby girl. When Anna Nicole Smith dies on February 8, 2007, she is on the front page of every tabloid for weeks. There is mention of her on almost every cable news channel in the country. The cause of her death won't be known until an autopsy is completed. Until then, her companion, Howard K. Stern, is under a cloud of suspicion. Others suspect she died by her own hand, like Marilyn Monroe.
Anna Nicole Smith's death got as much media coverage as Princess Diana's tragic death. This goes to show you something about America's fascination and love for dead celebrities, especially ones that die of drug overdoses.
While the autopsy is underway, Anna Nicole's estranged mother, Virgie, and her partner and manager, Howard K. Stern, fight for custody of her body. Virgie wants her buried in a family plot in Texas. Howard wants her buried in the Bahamas.
You would think she would want to be buried next to her son, especially given her childhood and her mom saying she was garbage. She didn't seem to have a good relationship with her mom. So it's very interesting when celebrities pass away, all these family members come out of the woodwork trying to get a piece of the action, whether it's over money, whether it's over the body, remains. We've seen it all.
Finally, an emotional judge awards custody of Anna Nicole's body to Danny Lynn's court-appointed guardian, Richard Milstein.
If the O.J. Simpson case taught us one thing, it is that Lance Ito belongs in a museum somewhere and not on the bench. We don't want judges preening for the camera. And so in this case, when the judge was reading his decision about where the ashes went, he was crying. Was that administering justice or trying out for a primetime TV spot? My understanding is he left the bench shortly thereafter to emote on the networks. What we saw was the male Judge Judy auditioning for his next job. Totally unbecoming.
Nearly a full month after her death, Anna Nicole Smith is finally laid to rest next to her son Daniel's grave in the Bahamas. As executor of Anna Nicole's estate, Howard wants to set up a trust for Danny Lynn because she isn't named in her mother's will. But the sorting of her finances is just beginning. When Anna Nicole died, she had credit card debts, owed back taxes, and a huge mortgage on her mansion. There were also hundreds of thousands of dollars owed in legal fees from various cases. Despite the $1 million sale of her wedding photos and her lucrative gig endorsing the weight loss supplement Trim Spa, she has only $10,000 in assets. Her estate could end up declaring bankruptcy.
Anna Nicole Smith did have a will, and her will left everything to her son Daniel. The problem was Daniel predeceased her, and she specifically excluded any unnamed children in her will.
It causes problems, and that's why everybody needs to update wills when they have a child born. But it's especially important when you have language in your will that says any unnamed children aren't going to inherit. Now, Danny Lynn did end up inheriting. Of course, the only thing there was to inherit was $10,000 and a big mess. And the mess started with the big question of who was Danny Lynn's father.
Although Howard K. Stern's name is on the birth certificate, entertainment photographer Larry Burkhead insists that he is the biological father. Two other men step forward with claims: a former bodyguard, Alexander Denk, and Prince Frederick von Anhalt, Zsa Zsa Gabor's 90-year-old husband, who claims they had a 10-year-long affair. Anna Nicole's half-sister claims Anna Nicole had frozen J. Howard Marshall's sperm and that Danny Lynn was his biological child. The judge orders DNA tests.
But you have to wonder if these guys were coming forward with dollar signs in their eyes, thinking they're going to get this big inheritance because as the father of Danny Lynn, they're in line to get all this money.
It's pretty clear that they weren't doing it out of love for Anna. They knew this kid was going to be loaded and that she was going to have an estate and that her daddy becomes the person who manages the estate for her in the end. So it looked unseemly. It looked like a form of high-stakes existential bingo.
8 days after Anna Nicole's funeral, the results of the DNA test come in. Larry Burkhead has declared Danny Lynn's father with 99.9% accuracy.
I hate to be the one that told you this, but I told you so.
Howard K. Stern does not contest the outcome.
What's important to me is that Danny Lynn has the best life that she possibly can have.
The coroner's report comes in. Anna Nicole's flu-like symptoms were caused by an infection that her doctors had missed. Her death is ruled an accidental overdose of the sedative chloral hydrate, which she was drinking out of a baby bottle to help her sleep. The sedative became lethal when combined with more than 10 other prescription drugs, including 3 different tranquilizers, anti-seizure, and flu medication. Howard K. Stern and 2 of her physicians are charged with administering controlled substances to a known addict.
At a certain point in Anna Nicole Smith's life, she was on as many as 15, maybe 20 medications. The idea that that is ethical by anybody's standard is absurd. She's obviously doctor shopping, maybe paying them in cash. Who knows? There's lots of people out there who will write you a script for anything that you want. It's a big problem in the treatment of addiction is that people have this idea and this notion, well, it came from my doctor, so it's somehow okay. So 15 medications for a young woman? For what? What was it?
Burkhead takes custody of Danny Lynn and moves into Anna Nicole's mansion. His main concern is securing Danny Lynn's future. Howard K. Stern vows to go back to the courtroom on Anna Nicole and Danny Lynn's behalf to yet again fight for the J. Howard Marshall inheritance.
Normally cases are litigated sometimes a year, sometimes multiple years, but when you have a cases in this case, that are being litigated for 18 plus years, the attorney fees, court costs, everything involved has got to be astronomical.
And it's really a great lesson for any feuding heirs out there that you gotta consider settlement. I mean, how much better off would Anna Nicole Smith and Pierce Marshall both have been if they merely had settled? Of course, when they couldn't even agree on how to divide up the ashes.
They both dug their heels in, and that's what happened.
But there was more than enough money to go around.
In the meantime, Burkhead hopes to fund Danny Lynn's future by selling off Anna Nicole's personal belongings. The auction generates a lot of buzz and brings in $70,000. But after Anna Nicole's debts are paid, there is almost nothing left. But just like her life, Anna Nicole Smith's legacy is full of more twists and surprises. Although Anna Nicole Smith enjoyed millions throughout her life, she leaves behind an estate containing only $10,000 in assets and a Los Angeles home worth just under $2 million. But her partner and manager, lawyer Howard K. Stern, continues to litigate to claim her share of her deceased billionaire husband's estate. It's a battle that has continued for over a decade, but Stern is determined to create a trust fund for Anna Nicole's daughter, Danny Lynn. But in 2013, California Judge David O. Carter orders the estate of E. Pierce Marshall, Anna Nicole's now deceased stepson, to pay a massive fine for what the judge calls his shocking bad faith conduct. It's believed Pierce obscured evidence and delayed proceedings during the inheritance trial for his father, Howard J. Marshall. Among other things, the The judge claims Pierce shipped crucial legal documents to a lawyer in Louisiana to keep them out of the hands of Anna Nicole's lawyers. Pierce's lawyers also lied and backdated documents.
The claim here is that Marshall's lawyers created their own rules, and in a scorched earth policy, they decided we're going to bleed this woman to death so that she has to decide to settle this case on our terms. And a judge is apparently prepared to order significant sanctions against them for that. It's very, very unusual, and unfortunately, given the Smith case, will undoubtedly yield litigation for years to come as that ruling is appealed.
So the California district judge even referred to the attorney who did the estate planning and found a lot of fault with him and pointed out that this attorney referred to Anna Nicole Smith in his legal file as Miss Cleavage. Now, I don't know if you remember, but we learned that the first day of law school, you don't refer to women in your files as Miss Cleavage.
Judge Carter's decision means that Danny Lynn could receive up to $49 million.
We know that the California courts are going to be awarding potentially millions of dollars in sanctions to Anna Nicole Smith's estate. And who's going to benefit from that? Danny Lynn.
But that money was set aside for legal fees and based on the amount of legal fees that Anna Nicole Smith and her estate incurred. What that means is when these millions of dollars get awarded, they're probably all going to go to the lawyers. I don't know that Danny Lynn's going to see a dime of that money.
But it will take a number of years before anyone will know for sure. The media and public never seem to tire of Anna Nicole's rags to riches story. Films continue to be made about her, and a TV special about Larry Burkhead and Danny Lynn's life is produced. But as legacies go, the pop culture queen's story may eventually run its course, leaving the estate high and dry. And even if interest in Anna Nicole continues over the years, it doesn't always mean Danny Lynn will benefit financially. In 2013, Anna Nicole's life was turned into a spectacular opera that debuted in London, UK's Royal Opera House. Unfortunately for Danny Lynn, the film and opera were unauthorized, and no rights or royalties were paid to Anna Nicole's estate.
Legally speaking, you can do an unauthorized biography so long as the information you rely upon is already in the public domain. There are unauthorized biographies that take place all of the time. Usually they're not very good because what they are is just a retread of what we've already seen. I think her estate has an obligation, I suppose, to protect its interests, but at some point it just needs to let go and stop the melodrama. There's been enough litigation in her case to fill a couple courtrooms for a lifetime. Let it go.
Money aside, Anna Nicole's most important legacy might be her daughter. Although Larry Burkhead allowed Danny Lynn to do a one-day photo shoot for Guess Jeans, he generally keeps her out of the spotlight and attempts to protect her from a similar life to her mother. Burkhead is hoping that Danny Lynn will eventually have a trust fund from her mother's estate. For now, he is supporting her on previous investments and on his photography work. He has 20,000 photographs of Anna Nicole, and it's a valuable catalog. Some believe because of the obsessive interest in her, Anna Nicole actually helped spur the direction and fascination in the variety of reality television series that have since followed her.
If Anna Nicole Smith left any kind of legacy, it's the result of the magic mirror that she held up to reflect America's mindless mindset.
She was a survivor. You take what you have in the world and you do the best you can. What she had was her face and her body, and she used it in a way that she had to survive.
Anna Nicole took whatever tools came her way to create a life that fit her dreams, involving both notoriety and wealth. Although her life was tumultuous and at times heartbreaking and out of control, Anna Nicole Smith's legacy will continue to find its way into the media for a while to come. And that's how she would have wanted it.